They walked away without raising their voices. That was the part that stayed with me. My father collected the boarding passes from the counter, glanced at them once, and slid them into his jacket as if nothing had happened. My mother adjusted her scarf, already turning toward security. My sister didn't look back at all. "Wait," I said, my voice sharp enough to cut through the terminal noise. "Where's my ticket?" My father stopped walking but didn't turn around. "You need time to cool off." "Lyndon, that's not your decision," I said. My hands were shaking now. "Give me my boarding pass." My mother finally faced me. Her expression was calm, practiced. "You've been overwhelmed lately. This space will be good for you." Then they were gone, swallowed by the line at security, moving with the confidence of people who knew I couldn't follow. I stepped closer to the counter. "There's been a mistake," I told the agent. My family just checked in together. The agent frowned at the screen. "Your return reservation was canceled." Canceled. I felt the word settle in my chest like something heavy and deliberate. "Canceled by who?" "By the account holder," she said gently. "My father." I reached into my bag for my phone. Empty. I checked again. Slower this time. Panic creeping up my spine. "Passport?" the agent asked. "It was in my tote," I said. "My sister carried it through security. She said it would be faster." The agent's face shifted from polite to concerned. Security was already watching us. I stepped back, my heart pounding hard enough to make my ears ring. No boarding pass, no passport, no phone, and no family willing to turn around. If you've ever felt that sudden drop when you realize the people closest to you have decided something without you, you already know what came next. Stay with me. The story you are about to hear is a fictional work created by the writing team of the channel Revenge Pulse, inspired by real-life situations to convey lessons about family, emotion, and human values. All characters and events are illustrative. A security officer approached. "Ma'am, you'll need to leave the restricted area. I just need 1 minute." I said, "They have my documents. They're already past security." He replied, not unkind. "Final." As he guided me away, anger cut through the fear. This wasn't a misunderstanding. My return ticket had been booked through my father's family travel account. My mother had insisted on handling the check-in. My sister had insisted on holding my bag. Every piece fit together now. "You could have just asked me to stay," I muttered. "You didn't have to trap me." No one answered. I stood near the exit, staring at the glass wall separating me from the gates. That was when a man in a dark coat stopped beside me. "Lyndon Shaw," he said quietly. I turned, startled. "Do I know you?" "No," he said. "But I've been watching this unfold." I bristled. "Then you should keep walking." Instead, he lowered his voice. "Your family didn't leave you here by accident." My jaw tightened. "You don't know anything about my family." He met my eyes. "Steady. I know when a situation is engineered. Walk with me. My driver is outside. I'm not getting into a car with a stranger. Then stay here," he said evenly. "Security will escort you out in 30 seconds. He checked his watch. Something inside me hardened. I picked up my bag. "Fine," I said. "But if this is a mistake, it's yours." He nodded once. "It won't be." And for the first time since the counter, I walked away on my own terms. The car door closed with a muted click, sealing me into silence that felt heavier than the terminal chaos I'd just left behind. "I didn't agree to anything," I said, gripping my bag in my lap. The man beside me didn't look over. "You agreed to walk. That's enough for now." I watched the city blur past the window. "You used my name back there." "Yes." That wasn't an answer. He exhaled slowly. "Corbin Ashcroft. I run a real estate investment firm based in New York. You stood out because you didn't beg." I laughed once, sharp and humorless. "That's your bar for approaching strangers at airports. It's my bar for assessing pressure," he said. "Most people collapse." "You recalculated." I turned toward him. "You don't know me. I know you didn't scream." He replied, "And I know your family canceled your ticket intentionally." My throat tightened. "You keep saying that like it matters." "It does," he said, "because accidents don't require contingency plans." This did. The driver merged onto the highway. The city lights faded. "Say what you want," I said. "I'm not looking for a savior." His mouth twitched. "Good. I'm not offering to be one." That finally got my attention. "I have an investor event in New York in 2 weeks." He continued, "My internal rival has been questioning my judgment since my wife died. Stability matters to people with money. Appearances matter more." I stared at him. "And where do I fit into that?" "You fit because you're credible," he said. "You're not desperate. You're angry. That reads as contained." I folded my arms. "You're asking me to pretend to be something I'm not." "I'm asking you to be visible," he corrected. "Public dinners? Introductions? Nothing illegal. And in return, you get back to the United States tonight." He said, "You get a place to stay, a new phone, and $75,000 to make sure you're not negotiating from fear." I let the number sit between us. "I don't sign anything blind," I said. "Good," he replied. "Then you'll like the rest. You can walk away at any time. I don't control your assets. I don't speak for you. And nothing personal becomes public without your consent. And if my family tries something I asked..." His gaze finally met mine. "Then I introduce you to people who make that expensive." The car slowed. I took a breath. My identity stays protected. No invented backstory. Agreed. "And if this turns into something I don't recognize," I added, "I leave." Corbin nodded. "That's how deals should work." The car pulled to a stop. I didn't feel saved. I felt armed. The phone Corbin gave me was already charged. That detail mattered more than I expected. I sat on the edge of the bed in the guest room, staring at the screen, my thumb hovering over one name I hadn't called yet. Marianne Cole, my cousin. The only person in my family who had ever asked what I wanted instead of telling me. She answered on the second ring. "Lyndon," she said, breathless. "Where have you been?" "Your parents called me 3 times. My shoulders tightened. "What did they tell you?" A pause. Not long, but deliberate. "They said you had a breakdown at the airport, that you were confused, that you accused them of turning against you and then disappeared." My jaw clenched. "That's not what happened. I know," Marianne said quickly. "But that's not where it stopped." I stood and began pacing. "Keep going. They're preparing paperwork," she said. "Not custody. Guardianship." The word landed hard. "Temporary emergency guardianship," she continued. "They're framing it as concern for your mental health after the divorce." I stopped moving. "That's insane." "It's strategic," Marianne said. "They're using timing, stress, therapy records, old emails where you talked about not sleeping." "They can't do that," I said. "I'm not incapacitated. They don't have to prove that yet." She replied, "They just have to convince a judge there's a risk." "Risk of what? Of you mismanaging assets," Marianne said softly. My throat went dry. "Which assets? The condo," she said. "The one your grandparents left you. They're claiming it's worth around $2.5 million and that you might sell or leverage it impulsively." I laughed, sharp and hollow. "So this is about money." It always was. She said, "Lyndon, the Zurich incident wasn't about space. They needed a narrative where you looked unstable and unreachable." My hands curled into fists. "They canceled my ticket." "I know," Marianne said. "Your mother mentioned you refusing help and becoming unpredictable." "I didn't refuse help," I said. "I refused to send more money." "That's how they're spinning it," she replied. "I have something you need to see." My phone vibrated. A document appeared, a draft petition. My name at the top. Words like erratic, emotional volatility, recent disappearance. They already wrote this, I whispered. Yes, Marianne said. They just need a judge. I sank back onto the bed. Thank you for telling me. I'm on your side, she said, but you have to move fast. I ended the call and stared at the screen until it dimmed. This wasn't a family conflict anymore. It was a coordinated attempt to take control. And now I knew exactly what I was fighting. Corbin didn't interrupt when I finished explaining. He listened the way people do when they already understand the stakes. This isn't emotional, he said finally. It's procedural. That's worse. I replied. Procedural means it works. He nodded once. That's why we don't wait. An hour later, Aaron Feld was sitting across from me at the table. Mid-50s, sharp eyes, no wasted movements. He didn't ask how I felt. He asked, "When was your last full financial review?" 3 months ago. I said, "Personal and business." Good. He replied, "Any missed taxes, late payments? No. Hospitalizations? No. Documented diagnosis that impairs decision-making? No." He leaned back. Then what they're attempting is leverage, not protection. They're calling it emergency. I said. They're saying I'm a risk. Aaron folded his hands. Emergency temporary guardianship doesn't mean immediate control. It means temporary authority to restrict certain actions. Freezing accounts, blocking property transfers, creating doubt. Doubt for who I asked. Judges, he said. Banks, business partners, anyone who doesn't want liability. Corbin spoke up. And optics. Yes. Aaron agreed. Optics are everything. If she looks isolated, the petition gains weight. I felt my chest tighten. So what do we do? Aaron met my eyes. We build a record they can't argue with. Spell it out, I said. Independent psychological evaluation. He replied, not therapy. Assessment, clear language. Competency confirmed, I'll do it. Full financial audit. He continued, income, expenses, asset management, show consistency. I have records, statements from former clients or employers. He said, people who trusted you with responsibility recently. I can get those. Aaron nodded. And timing matters. We file opposition before their petition gains traction. And if they push anyway, I asked. Then they expose themselves, he said calmly. Guardianship cases collapse when motivation looks financial. Corbin leaned forward. What about Zurich? Aaron's expression sharpened. That helps her. If we frame it correctly, abandonment undermines their claim of concern. I let out a slow breath. They left me without a passport. Aaron didn't blink. Judges don't like that. I straightened. Then we don't wait. Corbin looked at me. You're not reacting anymore. No, I said. I'm documenting. Aaron closed his folder. Good. Because once this enters the court system, feelings stop mattering. Proof does. For the first time since the airport, the fear loosened its grip. They wanted to define me. Instead, I was going to put myself on record. The meeting in Sag Harbor was supposed to be simple. That was the first lie. I stood at the edge of the room, listening as Corbin's team ran through the schedule. Everyone sounded confident. Too confident. I watched the seating chart get passed around. You're putting Reed next to Fallon, I said. The coordinator glanced up. Yes, they co-invested last year and nearly sued each other 6 months later, I replied. They'll spend the night posturing instead of listening. The room went quiet. Corbin looked at the chart. Move Fallon, he said, to where the coordinator asked. Near the north windows, I said. He wants visibility, not control. Reed wants access. Separate them. The coordinator hesitated, then nodded. Done. We moved on to timing. 2 keynote speakers scheduled back-to-back. That's a mistake, I said. The PR lead frowned. They're both major names, which means neither will listen to the other. I replied. Put the auction in between. It resets the room. Corbin watched me now. Not politely. Intently. During a break, a junior associate approached, phone in hand. We just got an email from the Patterson Group. They're reconsidering their commitment. Corbin's jaw tightened. Because of the rumors. I held out my hand. Let me see it. The email was careful, concerned, vague. The kind that pretended neutrality while pulling back. They're waiting for reassurance. I said. They're waiting for weakness. Corbin corrected. I typed a response, short and direct, acknowledging recent volatility while outlining revised projections and governance safeguards already in place. Send it, I said. The associate hesitated. Shouldn't this come from you? Corbin shook his head. Send hers. The reply came back within the hour. Commitment reaffirmed. Later, as staff cleared out, Corbin stepped closer. You've done this before. Different industries, I said. Same people. You're not acting like someone under pressure. He said, I am under pressure. I replied, I just refused to show it. His phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen, then handed it to me. An article draft. Speculative. Anonymous sources questioning his leadership after personal loss. This goes live tomorrow, he said. They're testing the room. I said, seeing who flinches. And if it works, then we stop letting them control the narrative. I said, you don't defend. You demonstrate. Corbin studied me. You're making yourself indispensable. I met his gaze. I'm making myself undeniable. Across the room, investors laughed, unaware of the shifts happening beneath the surface. For the first time since Zurich, I wasn't waiting to be judged. I was shaping the outcome. Corbin didn't soften it. That article will shift the board, he said. Not today. Not tomorrow. But it will give Reed room. We were alone in his office. The door closed, the city quiet behind the glass. You want me to disappear? I said. No, he replied. I want you visible in a way that ends the argument. I folded my arms. Say it plainly. He met my eyes. A civil marriage. 1 year, clean, boring, legally stable. The words landed without ceremony. You're serious, I said. Yes. I waited for him to dress it up. He didn't. This isn't about romance. He continued. It's about removing the narrative that you're isolated and that I'm unraveling. Married people don't fit the story they're trying to sell. I exhaled slowly. And my family. It complicates their petition, he said. Judges hesitate when someone is clearly supported and functioning. I nodded once. Terms. Corbin didn't flinch. Name them. No name change. I said. No shared accounts. My assets stay in a separate trust. Agreed. An exit clause. Immediate. No explanation required. Yes. Full compensation. I continued. $450,000 for the year. Paid quarterly? Done. And public statements. I added, I approve anything attributed to me. He paused for the first time. That limits flexibility. That protects me. I said. He nodded. Accepted. Silence settled between us, heavy but steady. This doesn't make us partners in life, I said. It makes us aligned against interference. That's all I'm asking, he replied. We went to City Hall 2 days later. No guests, no photos. Just signatures and witnesses who would forget our faces by morning. When the clerk handed the certificate across the counter, Corbin didn't reach for my hand. Neither did I. Outside, his phone buzzed. He read the message once. They know, he said. My family. I asked. Yes. Public records update. I straightened my shoulders. Then they're out of time. Corbin looked at me, something unreadable in his expression. This wasn't desperation, he said quietly. No, I replied. This was strategy. And for the first time, The board wasn't the only audience that mattered. The doorbell rang once, not rushed, not hesitant, confident. I didn't look at Corbin before I stood. He stayed where he was, giving me the space without asking for it. That mattered. I opened the door. My father stepped in first, shoulders squared like this was a business meeting. My mother followed, her expression already set in concern. My sister lingered behind them, eyes darting, hands clasped too tightly. "There you are," my mother said, relief threaded with accusation. "We've been so worried. You didn't call," I replied. My father waved that away. "You weren't answering. We had to come. You canceled my ticket," I said. His jaw tightened. "We needed to slow things down. You stranded me," I said. "Without documents." My mother stepped forward. "Lyndon, you were spiraling. You wouldn't listen. Sometimes families have to intervene." "Intervene," I repeated. "Is that what you call filing for guardianship?" My sister flinched. My father's eyes narrowed. "You found out. I read the petition," I said. "The draft with my name misspelled twice." My mother's voice softened. "It was for your protection." "From what I asked." "From yourself," she said. "You've been unstable since the divorce." I held her gaze. "Unstable people don't run audits." "Mom," my father exhaled sharply. "Enough. We didn't come here to argue. We came to fix this. Fix it how I asked." He glanced at my sister, then back at me. "We withdraw the filing, quietly. You let us manage the condo." "No," I said. My mother's eyes filled. "You're choosing a stranger over your family." "I'm choosing myself," I replied. My sister finally spoke. "Lyndon, Dad thinks this is the only way." I turned to her. "You held my bag in Zurich." She swallowed. "He said it would calm you down." "It trapped me," I said. "And you let it happen." Silence spread. My father straightened. "We raised you. We know what's best. You raised me to be responsible," I said. "And now you're punishing me for it." He stepped closer. "If you don't cooperate, this goes public." I smiled, small and steady. "Then it goes public." My mother gasped. "You wouldn't." "I already have," I said. "My lawyer has everything. Emails, travel records, timelines." My sister's eyes glistened. She looked at me like she wanted to say something. She didn't. My father shook his head. "You're not the daughter we thought you were." I opened the door. "I know. They left the way they arrived, upright, certain, only now. The certainty belonged to me." The courtroom was quieter than I expected. My father sat 2 rows behind me, posture rigid. My mother stared straight ahead. My sister kept her eyes on her hands. Their attorney stood first. "We submit these communications as evidence of emotional volatility," he said, holding up a stack of printed emails, written during a period of significant distress. He read one aloud. My words. Late nights. Exhaustion. Fear after the divorce. I felt the room lean toward me. Aaron Feld rose slowly. "Ms. Shaw," he said, turning to me. "Did you write these messages?" "Yes," I said. "Were you seeking help at the time?" "Yes." "Did you stop managing your finances?" "No." "Did you miss tax filings, default on payments, or lose professional responsibilities?" "No." He nodded once. "Your Honor, struggling does not equal incapacity." The judge looked at me. "Ms. Shaw, do you wish to add anything?" I stood. My voice stayed steady. "I was not at my best," I said. "I was still functional. I paid my bills. I ran projects. I showed up. Healing does not erase competence." Their attorney objected. "This is self-serving." Aaron didn't look back. "So is the petition." The judge leaned forward. "Ms. Shaw, did your family cancel your return travel while in Europe?" "Yes." "Did they retain your passport?" "Yes." A pause. The kind that changes direction. I find no medical evidence supporting incapacity. The judge said, "The petition for emergency guardianship is dismissed." My mother inhaled sharply. My father's shoulders sagged. Aaron placed a hand lightly on my arm. "It's on record now." I nodded. They tried to define me through my worst moments. The court defined me through proof, and the difference mattered. The papers were signed without ceremony. Corbin slid his copy across the table, calm as ever. 1 year, exactly as agreed, exactly, I said, adding my signature beneath the last line. There was no tension in the room, only closure. We had used the contract for what it was meant to be: protection, leverage, time. "You did well," he said, standing. "Most people don't know when to leave an arrangement cleanly." "I learned that the hard way," I replied. He nodded once, then walked out of my life the same way he had entered it, without promises. Later that evening, I sat alone in my condo. The trust documents lay open on the table. The property was now shielded, future-proofed, no longer something anyone could reach by calling it concern. My phone lit up with a new message. From my sister. I didn't open it. Instead, I deleted it. Slow and deliberate. I had spent years explaining myself to people who listened only when it served them. I wasn't doing that again. I poured a glass of water, stood by the window, and felt the quiet settle into something solid. If this story stirred something familiar in you, if you've ever felt controlled by people who claimed it was love, stay with us. Share your thoughts, your experiences, your lines in the sand. Some endings aren't loud, they're chosen. And once you choose yourself, everything else finally falls silent.